Alright, been working on the truck.
All it takes is one job, oh yeah. All it takes is one job, and everything is gonna be okay.
Got a few more little things welded up. Jared's been working on the brakes, bleeding them and whatnot. Working on getting the battery cables routed so it fits onto the battery nicely. We got fuel in it. We got fuel up to the pump. We got some new fuel lines here and there. We seem to have brakes in the front and we don't really seem to have brakes in the rear. We're gonna kind of check that stuff out. Get a few more things off our checklist here. I tried to chop my fingers off with the drill press and the little piece of metal I'm holding down, and it goes. Got my fingers pretty good. Jared said I shouldn't do that. I did it anyway. And I knew better.
Yeah.
While I was doing it, I was like, this is a bad idea.
I was giving him a hard time because earlier this week I got myself right there.
Yeah. You know, and a lot of us will do it. But when you think, this could be bad, that's when you're supposed to stop. You know,
reassess.
Sometimes you make it through it. Sometimes you do, and we've all made it through it. But we all have been on the other side where we haven't made it through it. And I was actually pretty lucky the way it cut me, because it could have been a lot worse. Mr. Neat and Tidy might have been too neat and tidy.
Yeah. No, I just need to move my separator back a little bit. It's got tight tolerances for sure.
He's trying to make it all pretty, which I'll give him that. That's pretty. We care. We care at Night Shift Customs. Ding! Alright, today we're working on the brakes, continuing working on the brakes on this green fridge here. What we've done so far was the master cylinder was leaking on the inside of the floor of the vehicle, so replaced the master cylinder, and then there was a kind of a soft line that came off the master cylinder. The soft line part was down towards the union T down at the bottom there, but it had really clapped out. It was in really rough shape, so made a newer style one where you loop it so if the body moves different than the frame, which it will, that little coil will take up the slack and not want to break your line. Other things that we've done, Jared put new hard lines in the front here. He put new soft lines, and he put these wheel cylinders in the front here, new wheel cylinders. I did the rear ones, put new hard lines on, new soft line on, and put the rear brakes together, new shoes and wheel cylinders. But I'm going to kind of show you how drum brake goes back together. It can be a little daunting task to work on these drum brakes instead of the much easier disc brakes. First off, we got our brake shoes. We call these shoes, and on the disc brakes they're pads. And then we have some crazy springs, and we have some of our tools here. It's nice to have these tools, not necessity, but your fingers will thank you. This is to put these little springs on. You'll have them, and you'll put the little spring on the cap there. This is for adjusting the brake after it's all together. That'll go through the back, and you can adjust the adjuster. And then this is for putting on and taking off the shoes. It has a couple of different functions here, and we'll kind of go into some of that. Got a bit of wind today, so hopefully it's not too bad on your microphone there. But we have one spring here that'll tie the two shoes together, and we have these little guys. One of these little plugs will go on the back of the spring, one on the front, and they have these little pins that go in from the back, and these pins will go through these pieces and lock them in, and that's what holds your shoes on here. Slide our little pin in from the back here. See the foil here. One little tab. Your spring. Next little tab. Our little tool here. And our little spring that goes at the bottom here. He's going to go in here and hold these two brake shoes together. And we also need to put our tensioner in there, which I have soaking in some oil because they're stuck. Up on the top here, we're going to have our two cylinder or rods that go into our wheel cylinder. And these brakes are really the same from the, pretty much forever. There's not too much difference in drum brakes, it's all pretty similar. After you've done one, you can kind of figure out how to do any of them. But these ones are pretty much exactly the same through the 60s from the early 50s. They're a little bit actually less complex in the earlier years, but they didn't wear as nice. These guys are going to go and hook onto here. And this is where you could say it gets a little interesting, and you have to be a little bit cautious to not get a spring in your eyeball. The old pads would have these rivets, and you used to be able to hook this guy in the rivet and then you could pull the spring like that. But a lot of these newer pads, like these ones, are glued on, which usually is a bad thing when they change things like that. I guess there's no rivets to gouge into your drums. You can really wear these suckers out. Shoes settled up there. A little Hujima flop it there. And this guy gets stretched on there. And without getting a blood blister, kind of clip that on. That's where that little screw hook guy is really nice on these. This little tool. This one's a snap-on, but I'm sure they make a Amazon knockoff. That would probably work just fine if you're just doing your own car. It's really a pain in the butt with some pliers or something, but it's not like we all haven't done it. Alright, now we just need to get our adjuster down on the bottom here. Let's see if our adjuster's not stuck anymore. So our little adjuster here, he could go in either way, it could go in this way or this way. What you're going to want to look for is that little hole in the backing plate here, and on which side that is. And you can see it down there. He's going to be where you stick a tool like this, or a flathead screwdriver if you don't have one of these. And you're going to stick that into that little spur, and that's how you're going to adjust it. A lot of times it's hard to figure out which way it needs to go, and it's a pain in the butt, but that's the way she is. And that's why we switched to disc. Our drums don't have any scarring or anything. That's what you're going to want to check. You can hear there's no grinding noise. That's not what you want. So we're going to take our little tool. We're going to do that until we have a nice grinding noise. Alright, there we are. So you can hear the grinding, and it's taking a little bit of torque to turn on this. It's actually feeling really correct. You want those shoes to be right there, so when you hit your brakes up here, it's going to work it. You don't have to. It doesn't have to go as far to hit that drum. That's exactly what you want there. Alright, that's all there is to it.
All it takes is one job, oh yeah. All it takes is one job, and everything is gonna be okay.